Welcome back to another week's episode of Searching for MacGuffin with your host, George.
Gabe.
And Link.
He's back, y'all.
He is back and stronger than ever.
Yes. After fighting a Balrog, that almost
Killed all of us.
yeah, pretty much. It was
not just a boxer, a big giant dragon thing.
It was an ordeal. But
And we just left him there. We didn't even try helping him out.
Well, he told us to fly.
Yeah.
yeah, fly, you fools. Come on.
Yeah, but I felt kind of guilty.
I did it.
It's okay. I've returned. But I'm happy to be back and happy to be chatting with you guys again.
Glad you're back, buddy.
Yeah.
Also, that episode that you guys did without me
Last week?
I loved it. The episode about nothing.
2 weeks ago.
The episode about nothing.
Yeah, that one.
It made me feel, I don't know. I had some FOMO while I was gone
Yeah.
on with COVID and vacation. But listening to the episode when I came back, I was like, man, I love you guys. Also, you guys prefaced it with man, we talk so much crap about you on the episode. And I'm like,
Yeah, you went in you did not have high expectations.
Yeah, and then I listened to it while I was working out. I'm like, I was just smiling in the gym. People were like, bro, what's this guy smiling
What's this
about?
creep smiling at?
Who got you smiling like that? But yeah, I'm happy to be back.
Yeah. We talked you up real good for those that didn't hear that episode. You can go back and listen to it. I know.
It's an episode about nothing, right?
Yeah, the show about nothing, or a show about nothing. Yeah. So, but today's show definitely does have a topic, and I think enough time has passed that we're ready to talk about it. We've talked about shows, we've talked about our different habits, and one of the things that keeps coming back is the Netflix binge. So, if you're into the show, you probably already finished watching it a few weeks ago, if not recently. And that is Cobra Kai.
Strike first.
No mercy. That's the last part.
It's okay.
Yeah. Well, so what is the whole thing?
Strike first, strike hard, no mercy.
Strike hard. It sounds cooler. When you break it down, it's it's not that deep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I also like the font that they have in the dojo. It just looks epic.
Yeah. So, Cobra Kai, and on a greater note, the Karate Kid universe.
Yeah?
The Miyagi-verse.
The Miyagi-verse.
The Miyagi-verse, because you're right. There's that other universe.
There's another world where Jaden Smith.
The Jackie Chan verse.
That's right. Would that only consist of one film?
Because isn't he Miyagi in that one too as well? Is his last name?
No, he's not Miyagi.
Oh, okay.
He's literally a completely different mentor.
Oh, and it's in China too. It's not in Japan.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
correct.
Kung Fu.
And it's not even karate. It's
Yeah.
Kung Fu. Yeah. They just call it the Karate Kid for some. I think the kids make fun of him, and they're like, "Oh, you Karate Kid" or whatever. And I think that's the rationale for the. But he doesn't even.
That was
karate.
what, 2010?
So yeah, I think so.
Oh, dang, that was a long time ago.
I watched that on a plane going to Guam.
I watched that on Netflix whenever it came
Yeah,
out.
we watched it together.
Oh, we did.
Yeah.
When was that?
Movie theaters. I don't know when.
No, I did
You
not.
guys
watch
went to the
I
theaters
did
to
not
that?
go to the movie theater.
Yeah, we
stores.
did.
No,
I
I watched it at home with you because you were like, you gotta watch this kick. It's like a Pele kick or something. Is that what finishes the? Yeah. But you had
Maybe I
already
watched
seen
it with my sister then. You guys.
I don't.
Yeah.
Maybe. I won't speak.
Because
for
I
her.
remember I watched it with her because there's a Red Hot Chili Pepper song and be like, oh, look at that.
Yeah, no, but that happened at home when we watched it again.
Yeah, because I was like, oh, look at that.
Did you guys like the movie?
At first, I remember. I've only watched it that one time.
Yeah. No, you didn't. You watched it with us at home.
I've watched it twice, I guess. And I remember liking it.
I thought it was fine, but I watched it way after its home release.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, whenever it came out on Netflix, probably for the first time, it was like, oh, remember they made a Karate Kid movie, and I was like, yeah, that's cool. I like Jackie Chan. And then Link was like, no, man, this kick, and also a Red Hot Chili Pepper song. I'm just gonna throw that into the story because he brought it up. I'm just gonna pretend like I knew that was part of the story the whole time. So yeah,
So that's not the Miyagi verse. That's
the whoever,
Jackie Chan's name verse. Character's name verse.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens down the road.
You think that? Well, we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
But you think they'll back out of what they've said? In the
I
past?
don't think it will be I think we discussed it. Maybe it is an actual movie in the Miyagi verse or something like that.
Yeah. Well, the one connecting thread is that Will Smith produced that movie and this show, right? So
Yeah.
there's too much synergy there.
In order for Will Smith and his son to be in the movie, like he asked to be a producer of the whole franchise.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Oh, that was a bold move.
And that's why he's
Who
able
would
to
have
be a
thought
producer.
that would pay off though?
Like 10 years later?
Yeah,
Like 8 years
real.
It was like, oh, you're making Cobra Kai. I'm in it. Pay me.
I mean, it's money, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, all I'm saying is I wouldn't be surprised if he
Okay.
makes an appearance either.
Okay, how would you feel? I would appreciate it, to be honest with
Depends
you.
on how they do it. I would appreciate it, but I think it depends on how they do
It
it.
doesn't
Oh,
even depend on me because like
I mean, if you get Jackie Chan, bro.
No, that's what you do. Usually, you bring Jaden Smith in the next All Valley, but he's wearing a white Batman costume.
Why did I have the same exact thought?
I didn't have a fully formed thought, but it did involve a white Batman costume. Yeah, it wasn't necessarily in the Old Valley, but like even if he's just walking around, he's in a white Batman costume. What was your first experience with the Karate Kid franchise? I don't think it was the Jackie Chan movie. So let's go back to 1985, right?
None of us were. I mean,
Well,
Gabriel and I weren't born.
I wasn't
Yeah.
conceived.
I meant go back to the film from 1985.
Oh, okay.
Obviously, you weren't around. I was 1, but let's go back to the original Karate Kid movie, 1985. What was your first experience? Even though, yes, it was not in the year 1985. Most of our listeners wouldn't have seen it in 1985.
I believe I've only seen one Karate Kid movie, the original one, and I've only seen it in Telemundo, so in Spanish. Growing up, we didn't have cable, so Saturday nights, like I just watched whatever movie was being played in Telemundo in Spanish.
Yeah.
Which was pretty cool because I would. That's how I watched Karate Kid and a lot of the Jean-Claude Van Damme movies like Bloodsport and
Wow, that's interesting because it's like I remember a lot of Arnold movies.
Arnold movies,
on
Telemundo, yeah.
And it's like that's basically how I watched them the first time was just on Telemundo in Spanish
Okay,
with a dub.
So I've never seen.
I don't know if we discussed this before, but what happens if he says "Hasta la vista, baby"?
They translate it to English.
I don't remember.
See you later, baby.
The Spanish actor says that.
But yeah, I've never seen Karate Kid in English. Because I've only seen that one, the first one in Telemundo. And I've seen the second one too, because the second one's in Japan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember.
You
I
saw that
remember
one
her-
in English or Spanish?
No, Spanish as well.
They're just blank looks across me and Gabriel's faces. This hadn't come up before, and we're just like, "Oh, so you've never seen the Karate Kid?" And okay,
In English, yeah.
I have very vague recollections of it. I watched a lot of movies growing up, and most of them were not like for my age group. So like, I think we've talked about how much I love like Terminator 2, and I guess what is age appropriate is like Batman Returns.
Yeah.
But like, I moved away from like kids movies. Not that they're bad, because I actually love them now as an adult. But like E.T., it was like one of the first tapes that I had, and I watched it so much that I just got sick of that movie. And so I didn't watch a lot of kids movies, or at least movies aimed at my demographic. So I remember watching Karate Kid, but it wasn't like a super big deal to me. Like it was like, yeah, that movie's good and stuff. And like I vaguely remember 2, and I don't have a recollection of 3 at all. I know I must have seen them because I think I saw all of them, including the next Karate Kid.
I didn't. I knew there was a 3, but I thought the 3 that I had in mind was a Hilary Swank version.
Yeah, the next Karate
Yeah.
Kid.
So when in the newest season they introduced this character from season 3, I was like, what? Where did this come from?
And they have like flashbacks, because my wife too, she didn't remember any of this. So she's like, where are these flashbacks from?
Yeah, that's how I was. I'm like, where's this from?
Yeah.
It's not in Spanish.
I feel like you could have figured that one out though.
I think for me, my dad is like a big like movie fan, and I mean he loves movies from the 80s. I mean,
Right.
who doesn't?
I don't know, people from now.
But I mean, like you, I mean, I was pretty young, and the things I remembered was like Johnny in the skeleton costume,
Yeah.
Daniel in being the shower curtain, like the shower curtain, and in the final tournament, I remember that too.
I'm sorry, I know this might be a digression, but
Mhm.
can I talk about how like disappointed I am that my Fortnite skin of Johnny Lawrence doesn't have a skeleton costume?
They have skins.
No, I mean, like, the generic, like, yeah, they have Cobra Kai skins.
They do.
Yeah. I feel like, you were away with COVID. Oh,
I've been gone, man.
Oh man, it was a big deal here. Like us and producer Dan Link were here. Like when they dropped, like, and they stealth dropped for us. At least I didn't know they were coming. So it was just like one day we turned on the game. And it was like Cobra Kai was coming out. Yeah, on Friday, and it was like Thursday night.
They have Cobra Kai skins?
Oh yeah,
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah.
What do they have?
Okay, so they don't really have like. Well, remember the point you were gonna make? Because I'm sorry, I kind of interrupted you.
No, go ahead.
But like they basically had like a bunch of models, and you choose your like your dojo. So you can choose from a series of like different looking characters.
Oh, like
you
the,
can
like the soccer thing?
yeah, like the soccer thing, exactly, like the sports ones. So basically, like they have like a Jonesy one that looks like Johnny Lawrence,
Oh, okay.
and then you can put him in a Miyagi-Do, Cobra Kai, or Eagle Fang dojo.
No, they gotta wait for the other seasons and then they give you more drops.
Yeah, that's actually how like me and Dan got leaked that Eagle Fang would be in red geese because we got the Johnny Lawrence skin, and then you can put him in any of the 3 geese, and they had the red Eagle Fang.
I keep saying I'm gonna go back to Fortnite with all the like Naruto skins and Spider-Man skins, and I haven't yet, but I will try.
Okay, put an asterisk on that. Anyways, continue.
But yeah, I mean the crane kick was iconic, and
they have the crane kick, by the way.
Are you serious?
Yeah, they have the crane kick,
Maybe.
and it plays the song. You're the best.
And that's the thing, man. Those movies had great
Do
music.
we have to pay someone to sing that song, or are we good?
We can sing it.
Oh, okay.
But if we can't have someone sing it.
Oh, okay.
Mm.
Not getting sued, baby.
Pretty sure that's how copyright works.
And so I didn't really remember the sequels.
Mm-hmm.
So when this show had come out, I think it was like they had 2 seasons had come out.
Yeah.
And I think they had moved over to Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
And that had took me to basically rewatch 2 and 3. I did not remember 2 at all. And 3, I remember Terry Silver being crazy. And like I remember that Daniel like joins Cobra Kai, but other than that, I didn't really remember it.
I didn't remember that at all, man. That was a complete blank space in my mind.
So going back, I was like, oh wow.
Which is a terrible story, by the way. But anyways,
Like him joining Cobra Kai?
yeah, I don't think
Give
there's a
in
way to
to
make
your
that
anger.
work.
It's basically Palpatine, bro.
Yeah.
Why does he join Cobra Kai?
Because Miyagi won't teach him
An aggressive style?
something like that. He's kind of like, because I think there's like a bully or something.
Yeah.
And Miyagi just like, I'm not gonna show you like how to fight back or something like that. He's like, because Miyagi-Do is like only for defense.
Like,
Yeah.
But this is bully no karate. Like,
Yeah, he's like a
Everyone knows karate and
And-
Karate Kid in the
yeah,
Miyagi
in
verse.
California, bro, everyone knows karate.
that's true.
But yeah, so that's my experience. I think I remember the first one, and then 2 and 3 not really. So I had to go
Mhm.
back and watch them, and rewatching them gave me a good foothold for watching the show.
That's interesting that you mentioned that everyone in California knows karate. Was that not your experience, Link? You lived in California. Are they not all part of like a Gracie gym now? Because like you went to California and you were like immediately in a Gracie gym.
That's
like just
that
a
is
few
true.
months into it. So it's like everyone learning martial arts in California.
That's you're right on that one. Everyone, and we all made fun of karate
Yeah.
because they told me it was the inferior martial art.
Yeah, because the show hadn't come back and like made it hip again.
Right.
you know?
True.
Now kids are learning karate. You know, let's talk about that, the cultural touchstone of the Karate Kid causing an entire generation of kids to sign up for karate classes. Because I know you guys watch these movies like way in a like after the fact, but I know when I was growing up, like everybody wanted to take karate classes because of the Karate Kid movies. Have you experienced this? Did you know about this? Or
I mean, I've always wanted to take karate classes, but my mom never liked violence, so. Never.
didn't you once take a self-defense class?
Yeah,
of
because
some
my
kind?
neighbor
Please
gave
share.
So I had a neighbor who was in he was in the Vietnam War.
Mm-hmm.
This guy, I believe he suffered from PTSD because he was always causing some sort of trouble in the neighborhood, right?
Mhm.
Nothing bad, but I was like, there was
Conflict.
Yeah, there was something off about him.
Mm-hmm.
But my parents were nice, and they befriended their neighbor, and eventually told them, "Oh yeah, I'm teaching the next door kids how to do Taekwondo."
Mm-hmm.
And like, do you want me to teach your son? And my dad thought it was a good idea. I don't think my mom liked it.
How old are you?
I was like 11, 12, 13.
Okay.
And so they let me do it because it was by my neighbor. And we go right behind our house. There was a park, and that's it. I did it twice. And he made me fight a girl.
Yeah, because how many students were in the
It
class?
was 3. It was me, my neighbor, who's a girl, and her brother, her younger brother, who was big. It was still bigger.
Was it this guy's kids?
No.
Oh, no?
No,
It was just-
neighbor, like the
This-
neighbor from the...
This sounds like Cobra Kai on a budget.
Literally,
this is
it
how it
was.
started.
Yeah, it's how it started. Because, even then, Johnny Lawrence can't find a proper place to...
Right.
Remember, Johnny Lawrence starts teaching
Yeah.
Eagle Fang in the park.
This
So that's
guy-
how it
yeah.
felt. Except I didn't want to fight a girl. And then, like, he would also teach boxing.
Yeah.
And we would give us boxing gloves, and he would make me box this girl. And she was older than me, like maybe by 2 years, but I still felt really weird because I grew up like learning. My dad told me you don't hit women. So I just let her beat me up.
Well, Miyagi-Do is only for defense.
Yeah.
I guess you should have had Miyagi-Do.
I should have, yeah.
Your neighbor's like. Your neighbor had the Vietnam War.
Yeah, this
And
guy was probably with John Kreese.
And Johnny Lawrence had Daniel-san kicking him in the face.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd never, like, only that, but even then, my mom never let me do any form of martial arts.
Yeah. My mom wasn't big on martial arts either. She didn't let me take class. I think my younger brother, I think she softened up on it later, like I was already older. And he was like, yeah, we started taking classes in Miami-Dade. And I was like, I don't know what I was taking, like piano and language. And he's like, I want to do karate. And she let him do it. And he got to do it. But I do have a story I had a friend of mine who told me their story when Cobra Kai came out. They're like the biggest Karate Kid fan. And they told me, you know what my Karate Kid story is? I love those movies. And I like worship Daniel-san and Miyagi. And like I joined karate because of that. And then when I was in karate class, the new Karate Kid movie came out. And we were so excited. We're like, oh, new Karate Kid movie. Oh, we love all 3. Because he was so young. He didn't know the difference. He loved all 3 of them. Like, he was all in, right? So then it was time for his dojo to go watch the premiere of the next Karate Kid.
He went with the dojo.
Yeah, and
That's
that was
awesome.
him. So the dojo went, and they saw Hilary Swank become the new Karate Kid. And he was like, this was different. And he was just like, as a child, confused, like, Daniel's not in the movie anymore, and it's a girl now. I guess it's still Karate Kid.
I guess I still love it.
Yeah, I guess it's still okay. And it's funny, like, when we talk about fandom and, like, reaching that moment when you're like, maybe I outgrew this, or maybe it outgrew me.
Mm.
Like, this is a step too far. I cannot continue along this journey in the exact same way. And I think for him, that was the next Karate Kid. It just, karate class, it never tasted the same after the next Karate Kid. So that was our experience with the original trilogy, or quadrology, right?
Is that a word?
Yeah.
Series.
Pretty sure it's a word.
Yeah,
Quadrology.
you learn something new every day.
Yeah, the more you know.
So if you haven't learned anything, our listeners or viewers, as Link says, quadrology. So I think I only know that because of the Pitch Black series of movies, which I can't even think of. There's 4 of them.
The what?
The Pitch Black movies.
Pitch Black.
Yeah, I think it was like Pitch Black, Chronicles of Riddick,
Oh, the
and then
Riddick,
Dark
yeah.
Fury, and then I think they included
There's
Escape
4?
Escape from Butcher Bay, the video game.
Oh.
I think they were like, it's the Riddick quadrology. Anyways, so then came the show, right? And I think you touched a little bit upon it, Gabe. But what was your introduction to Cobra Kai? I had heard about it on YouTube Red. Did you guys hear about YouTube Red?
Yeah, I knew about it because of YouTube Red, but I didn't pay for YouTube Red, so I'm like,
Right.
I'm not going to watch this.
Yeah, YouTube Red was just kind of like, I have to pay for YouTube? Bro, I got
Yeah.
YouTube for free, bro.
What isn't the opposite of the point of YouTube?
Yeah, I'm just like, I didn't really understand it. Like, I knew it was a show, but it's like, when was it, 2018?
Yeah.
It wasn't on Netflix, or it wasn't like on like a major streaming site. And I was just like, I don't really have access to this, so I'm not probably not gonna watch it.
Right.
And I mean, I don't know. I think it had been so much time had passed since I had seen Karate Kid that it didn't stoke a fire in me to jump on it and go watch it.
Right. I thought the concept was cool. Like, oh wow, to do a sequel series. Is it weird though? I knew the pitch was like Johnny Lawrence is back and he's like down out on his luck and he gets a second chance at Cobra Kai and we're gonna see the story like from the villain's perspective, like anti-hero. I got all that. Is it weird that I didn't know that LaRusso was on the show like for years, for the next 2 years that it was on YouTube?
Yeah,
right?
I didn't know. I thought it was just him.
Yeah, I thought it was just Johnny Lawrence. Did you know LaRusso was on the show?
I didn't know. No, I didn't know anything about the show.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't know anything? Because I had seen the trailer for season 1.
Yeah, I knew that they were both on the show, but that's it. I didn't
Is
know
he in the trailer?
I didn't know how much he was. Gonna be on the
LaRusso's
show.
not in the trailer for season 1, and I don't think I even saw the trailer for season 2 because at that point a year had passed and I had already decided I'm not watching this show. Not because I wasn't interested, because it got really good reviews too. And I had one kid at school, a student, who was like, "This show is awesome. If you love Karate Kid, you're gonna love this show." But again, I didn't love Karate Kid, so I was like, "Oh, that's cool. Hopefully I'll watch it." But I was even to the point where like I'm not gonna get a 30-day trial for YouTube Red because I'm gonna forget to cancel it, and it's not gonna be worth it. If I end up paying for 1 month of YouTube Red, I'm gonna feel ripped off because I think it speaks a lot to the value that the consumer looks for on a streaming service. Because that was like the only thing I knew they made.
Had, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I was like, what am I playing? And they were trying to like, oh, you don't get ads on YouTube and stuff like that and perks like that. And I'm like, you control those perks, okay? I don't. YouTube didn't used to have so much ads, so now you want me to pay for what was free before. But so I missed it for 2 years. I think we all missed it for 2 years, right?
Yeah, I didn't watch it until Gabriel told me to watch it.
With that being said, it was successful on YouTube Red. It had a lot of viewers, and it sold subscriptions, and it had great reviews. So I had always thought like, oh, it failed on YouTube Red, and that's why they had to like pivot to Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
But they were actually looking to A, widen their market, and B, by the time season 3 rolled around, YouTube Red was out of the original content. So this was like the one successful thing they had. But like, you can't have a whole platform on just one show.
Because I don't even think they knew where they were going with that.
Mm-hmm.
It was Red, and then they turned into like what, premium by
Yeah.
the time the second season came out.
Yeah, and they rebranded, like a bunch, and they were
And what are they now, like YouTube TV or something?
yeah, and they bundled like Google Play Music, but people didn't know that, and they had I think like different tiers, like they had premium and like plus, and I don't know, it was kind of a mess. It was hard to follow.
Question: do we have Cobra Kai because of that one joke in How I Met Your Mother with Barney Stinson? How he talks about the real hero of Cobra of the Karate Kid being Johnny Lawrence and not Daniel LaRusso.
Yeah, and then Zabka eventually
And
like
he
shows up
for
on
his
the show.
shows up for his bachelor party, I believe.
Yeah.
I feel like that's how people started.
Did you ever feel that way, or like, or Karate Kid wasn't that big of a deal that you just never thought of it like that?
Meaning what?
Like how Johnny's like the victim.
No, I never thought about Karate Kid
Yeah,
growing up. Yeah, like no, I never really. I don't think that's true. I think that's a funny take. I don't think it's true. I do actually. When I went back and saw the movie, because I went back and saw the first one, Gabriel did a deep dive. He's like, I saw 2, I saw 3. Let's get stars. I need access to.
I need all of it. Let's go.
I need access to all of it. I was like, bro, that's a lot of hours, man. I don't know. I remember being traumatized as a child. I don't want to relive that. I think I might eventually at this point.
I was in the pandemic, so I was like, give it to me.
Oh yeah, I think we said we were going to inform our listeners that if you are looking to rewatch these movies, they're all on Peacock apparently. So
Peacock.
if you have
NBC.
if you have Peacock with your cable provider, go ahead and watch the Karate Kid movies. If you don't, please don't pay for Peacock. I'm sorry. That's my hot take.
It's true.
Yeah, it's not worth the money.
But was this show created because of that joke?
I think you convinced me of that like a couple of weeks ago. Like you brought it up and I was like, you know what? That makes a lot of sense. I think especially because Zapka's actually on How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah.
So I feel like he was like, I can make money off of this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I know he executive produced this show and it was kind of his brainchild. I'm not sure if Ralph Macchio was on board from the beginning. So because it's his show and he's the protagonist, I believe it. I believe it.
Ralph Macchio was also in How I Met Your Mother.
Was he?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, what does he do?
Remember, you think, oh, I brought you the Karate Kid, and it's Ralph Macchio. It's like, oh, that's not the real Karate Kid.
Oh wow!
And then at the end of the episode, like I think Zapka was disguised as someone.
the clown.
Yeah,
He
the
was a
clown. Yeah.
I
And
only remember the Zapka part. Wow. I've tried to block out several of the past like late seasons of How I Met Your Mother because that's like I don't think we'll be doing a How I Met Your Mother episode ever, but
we can do it right now.
oh, actually no, because they're doing a How I Met Your Father, right?
Oh, and I heard that wasn't good either.
Oh yeah. Oh, why is that out already?
Yeah. Some episodes, I'm not sure if all of it's out, but some
Oh,
episodes
no.
are out.
Is that Hillary Duff?
Hillary Duff? Yeah.
What?
Oh yeah.
Oh no, How I Met episode incoming. I wonder how many listens we'll get for that one. It'll be our most popular episode.
Watch it will.
Yeah.
I think if we tie with Lizzie McGuire, it'll be our most popular episode.
Ooh, Lizzie.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
I wanted to see that.
Yeah, they canceled that project. It was too edgy for Disney Plus. We're all just pondering what could have been the Lizzie McGuire.
I was just thinking of her friend didn't her friend go crazy? Miranda? Was that her name?
I think you're thinking about Sex in the City.
No, the brunette and
Oh,
the
I know you're
black hair
talking about
lady.
her friend.
Yeah, she went
I
crazy.
don't remember her name.
Not that she went crazy, but I think she started doing drugs. And
Like
stuff
in real life,
that.
like
yeah,
the
like
actress?
yeah, like the actress.
Started spiraling.
Yes.
I mean, you don't need everyone to do a reunion show.
True.
I mean, they were moving forward with
You just need Gordo.
Right.
I've never seen Lizzie McGuire, so I don't understand anything.
Huh?
Why do you have a shocked look on your face?
Oh yeah. Okay.
I'm significantly older
Yeah,
than
yeah, that's a
makes sense,
Disney
makes sense.
Channel show.
Yeah. You know, I never even grew up watching Disney Channel shows. Like, I don't even know if they had them when I was growing up like that.
Yeah.
I think they just
I
play
don't think
cartoons
they.
and
Yeah, I don't
stuff,
think they
yeah.
did.
Yeah. I mean, that was like what 6 a.m. for me before going to school, eating breakfast, watching Lizzie McGuire, and then
Yeah, I never had that experience. The only thing I had was movies like The Karate Kid, which is what we're talking about here today.
Ooh.
So what was your experience season to season? We finally watched one. I think we established we've all saw 1 and 2 together, back to back, right? The two YouTube Reds. They eventually debuted on Netflix, which was their new home, in anticipation for season 3. So it comes out a couple of months before season 3. What was your initial reaction to season 1 and 2?
yeah. I mean, I started watching it mainly through word of mouth. I heard some people like at work talking about it, and then I heard one client that because I worked at a physical therapy clinic,
Mm-hmm.
and this one guy was just raving about it. He was like, "Man, that show is so good," and I'm just like, and it's on Netflix, and he's like, "Yeah, it just got on Netflix," and I'm like, "All right, I'll do it." I watched a couple episodes, and I was in it, and then because the first 2 were out, so like I binged it real quick. And going back, I think we talked about binging before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I try to do the whole like restraint thing and like be happy week to week. I love binging shows,
Yeah,
man.
yeah. And I think we're gonna talk about. I think I might have changed my perspective with some shows that we're watching, but we're gonna talk about that in the weeks to come.
Yeah, and so I started watching it, and season 1, I mean, straight off the bat, like, seeing what became of Johnny Lawrence's life,
Yeah,
and like with the flashbacks as well, it also helped put it into perspective. I was like, man, this is a different take. Like I wasn't
You
used to this.
sympathize with him.
Yeah, after such like, and I don't know, there's something about like it could be nostalgia or whatever, but it's like it's such an iconic movie
yeah,
and like franchise, I guess, that you go back and revisit, and it's like you see these characters and like going back to it all these years later.
mm-hmm.
It's to me, it's crazy, and the way that they approached it, it didn't take itself too seriously,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's what happens throughout
Yeah.
the whole show. And that was something I really appreciated. Like it knew what it was, and it just went with it. And I mean, I enjoyed that from the get go. And I didn't even know Ralph Macchio was in it. I didn't know Daniel was in it.
Yeah, I was surprised.
And so I see him in the car dealership, and I'm like, huh,
Oh, we doing this?
yeah. And I was just like, oh, okay, wow. I wasn't expecting. I don't know why that took me by surprise so much.
I thought he was gonna jump in and out too, but like being almost like the antagonist of the show. I don't know why. I thought they would be what's the word I'm looking for? Apprehension to put Daniel LaRusso like in that.
in that
Before
role.
you make
Yeah.
it his show.
Mm-hmm. Because I thought it was gonna be like, here's this loser who thinks he's the hero, you know. But now we're starting to recontextualize things and and see that, yeah, maybe that, because you go back, you asked me this, and I don't think I fully answered that question. Did I see Johnny as a victim? I think I do now, because you see just how impatient and like how stubborn Daniel is in that first movie, and like he's being bullied, and that's like inexcusable, and at the end, like Johnny Lawrence is way worse of a human being to Daniel than vice versa. But like, yeah, some of those things that he does, like what Daniel does with the hose at the party, is like, yeah, you don't deserve to get beat up, but like you were asking for it. Like, who does that? Like, you literally ruined his party for no reason.
I think it's funny that you mentioned that. Johnny Lawrence is a lot worse of a human being than LaRusso.
Yeah.
Because I watched season 1, and I was surprised at how easily I was convinced. Like
Otherwise,
I'm like, man, Johnny Lawrence is awesome. I hate Daniel LaRusso.
No, yeah, same.
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa, I hate I hate this guy.
Okay, but from a cool factor though, right? Because one thing that is a problem, and I think is still kind of an unaddressed problem, is like, this guy is like a deadbeat alcoholic, right? Like,
Yeah.
When is Johnny gonna address being like seriously in need for like substance rehabilitation?
Season 5, probably.
Okay, you think we'll get there? Or do you think it's like they're just gonna ignore?
I don't know, but I've said it multiple times. Like, bro, this guy is an alcoholic.
Yeah.
Like, he has a problem, because it's literally just, and I don't know if that's something that they're gonna address, because it's pretty prevalent throughout the whole show, and I guess he's gotten better.
I don't know, man, because I feel like they always go out of their way to put one beer too many in the scene, you know, to leave them all crumpled up in the background, and for him to do something stupid because he's drunk.
Well, I mean, that's true, but I also feel like they have those scenes where he starts getting his life together. He starts trying to clean up his act, and he's literally cleaning up his house. He's cleaning up his room, throwing all the beer cans away, and then something happens that sets him off, and he's just back to the drinking.
They keep letting him fall off the wagon, and
but I'm trying to remember. This season, was it prevalent this season? Was it a lot?
It was like subtle.
I think it was like in social settings.
But even then, you can also tell that
there's a big moment that is caused by his alcoholism. I don't know if you remember
after he gets beat up.
Yeah, and he thanks, like, he tells Miguel that he loves him, but
he says Robbie.
Yeah, he says Robbie, and it was like
he was drinking.
Yeah,
he was drunk.
Yeah, he was drunk.
I thought he just got so beat up then.
He did, and then he went to get drunk.
Yeah, and then he went to get drunk. He went.
Makes sense.
Drown your problems away.
Yeah,
but they did show that in season 4, they did show that, I guess, drinking he has some sort of connection with his father.
Yeah.
Remember when he was holding that box of all his father's
Correct.
things? One of the things that he's holding inside that box is a beer can.
Yeah, because that's why it's like a cycle. Like he inherits that.
That's like the sins of your father.
Right. Exactly. But I feel like they've established that it is a problem, but I don't know that they've established that it's one that he needs to break. You know what I mean? It's like what you said. Like, yeah, he's cleaned up and he stopped drinking so much, but he's never been like, I have a serious problem.
Yeah,
that needs to be addressed. It's almost like reverse Tony Stark, in a sense where like Tony's not an alcoholic in the Marvel films because they were like, we don't want to address this. Like, we don't. It becomes the story. If he's an alcoholic, then the movies have to be about like him sobering up. But here he is an alcoholic, and 4 seasons in, it feels like it's not about that. You know,
but I do think that maybe in season 5,
maybe they
especially now that it seems like he's gonna rekindle his relationship with Robbie, his son.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's one of the ways of improving the relationship, realizing that, hey, alcohol has caused so much trauma in my life, so much pain. Let me get rid of this so I can have a better connection with my son. That's why I thought maybe they address it in season 5.
Yeah,
rehab season.
I was thinking maybe that, but also
probably.
I thought he was gonna go like find Miguel.
You can do both.
So I thought like the situation that you were saying, how he's gonna rekindle, but I thought he was gonna do that with Miguel as Miguel searches for his father, or maybe he takes Robbie. I don't know.
So season 1 and 2.
I liked season 1. I really, like I said, I ended up. I don't want to use the term falling in love, but I really ended up liking Johnny Lawrence a lot. I'm like, man, this guy's so much cooler.
So you wouldn't say that like you were in love with Johnny Lawrence?
No, he's not my lover.
He was your lover?
I would.
Okay.
Maybe not my lover, but
I did think
it's too late. You agreed.
But I'm like,
all right, fine.
But man, I was like, man, because he's such a badass, right?
Mhm.
Compared to Danny LaRusso, and I know I've told you guys about this, but every time Danny LaRusso does karate, I feel like he looks like an idiot.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh
The
my gosh,
choreography
why is this so dumb? Why do you look so dumb moving?
Does
your
Zabka
hand?
like actually know like martial arts and stuff like as an adult?
I think he does.
pretty sure.
and that's why his choreographies look a lot better.
Okay, so from what I'm getting is we have no idea, but just based on the show,
No, I think
he's
he-
convinced us that he does, and
No, I think
LaRusso has clearly convinced us that he does not.
Yeah, he does not.
Or Ralph Macchio, rather. Also, did anybody else think that Ralph Macchio was editor at Marvel Comics growing up because their editor was called Ralph Macchio, and everyone just assumed they were the same person? No?
Yeah, I was reading Daredevil the other day, and I thought that. I was like, yo, the Karate Kid's a man of many talents.
Not
Yeah.
karate, apparently.
Yeah, so for our listeners out there, Ralph Macchio was once an editor at Marvel Comics. He is not the same person as the Karate Kid.
So William Zabka actually, he had no training
For the movie.
in Karate Kid.
Yeah, but he was like a kid.
But he was a pretty accomplished wrestler
Oh, okay.
before
So
that.
he has a
but
fighting background.
after the movie, he actually ended
It
up
all
learning.
goes back to wrestling.
He actually ended up learning a martial art and became like a 2nd degree green belt.
Okay.
See? So that's why he
little
looks like a
info for
badass
you.
when he does
in
it.
a martial art, it's not specific.
Tang Soo Do.
Oh, okay.
And that's why he looks like a badass when he fights, whereas Ralph Macchio looks dumb.
Not.
Yeah, it looks like the opposite.
I mean, he's a car salesman.
But he has those little trees. He gives you a little bonsai tree.
No, man, I thought Johnny Lawrence was super cool.
Mhm.
He was a man trapped in the 80s, and I thought that was awesome. The music, I mean, I love 80s music, so it's like
yeah.
putting on those songs and like showing the flashbacks and going through and like kind of like seeing it through his perspective,
Yeah.
like the events of the movie through his perspective
Mhm.
was like, wow, this is actually really interesting. I never really thought of it that I personally didn't think of it that way.
Mhm.
Like you always think Karate Kid, Ralph Macchio, he's the guy, like he defeats the bully.
Mhm.
But I really love the perspective of seeing what the bully actually went through and how their lives are so different because of that.
Seeing
Of
the other
that-
side
Yeah,
of that
it's
match.
it's more complicated than it
Exactly.
actually is. It's not
And I mean,
black and white. It's gray.
and I
It's-
mean,
yeah.
go ahead.
No, go ahead. It seems like a dumb thing, like the Karate Kid, Cobra Kai, this show, whatever, because it doesn't take itself seriously. But it's interesting the insight that it gives us on narrative structure and on perspective. You see the story through this specific lens, and it's clear who the villain and the hero is.
Mhm.
And to be able to invert that just by giving voice to a character that is on the exterior and bringing that character on the interior, it's interesting how like you can apply that to real life.
Yeah.
Like by just hearing out someone either on the opposite side of an argument or with a different perspective or a different view of something, it can totally invert and you'll be able to understand, even if you don't agree with someone, why they believe or act in a certain way.
Exactly. And I mean, that's something that I love about this show. Just the duality of it, of the two different styles, if
Mhm.
you want to get like technical and specific with the different dojos.
Yeah.
Or I guess 3 different, there's so many different ones now, but personalities and way of life and way of thinking with Johnny Lawrence and Daniel LaRusso, people with so much history, and these people are like, in the case of Johnny Lawrence, is the story that we follow. I feel like he's trying to do better.
Mhm.
He finds instances where he has opportunities to do better, but like he's still, like I said, he's still trapped in the 80s. He's still there's still parts of him holding on. And it's like it goes to show it's not easy to change.
Yeah.
It's not easy to correct your life and be better, but it's like what I love about it is they have these two different styles that conflict. And I mean, some people can argue that it may be getting a bit tiresome how long it's been going on,
Mm-hmm.
which I can partially agree. But I do like that, like, it's not so simple to change and that it takes some time. Now, is it taking too much time from a narrative perspective? Maybe, but I just love both of them and their stories and how they intertwine the stories, even though it gets like pretty melodramatic in the sense of like how everything goes on with the kids and how everything connects.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting that you mentioned that, and then George says that when you ask people about things, you clarify things, right?
Mhm.
And that's how you know, hey, that's how you're able to understand each other.
Right.
My main complaint about the show
Mhm.
is that I feel like no one learns a lesson. They're just repeating
Yeah.
the same mistakes,
Mhm.
same sins. Like,
Mhm.
and
It's
I-
almost like the lessons that it's teaching us, the viewer, the characters in the show are not
no,
learning.
are
them.
not learning, right? And in my mind, like, you can solve this whole. In my mind, I'm like, all right, if everyone just starts asking questions, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
There is the key to this whole show is asking questions. If
Right.
you ask questions, you don't have a show.
But they're so quick to just kick
So
each other
quick,
in the face.
exactly, and that's why I'm so annoyed
And you know what?
by that.
And I think I'm just like coming up with this now in the moment, like making this self-discovery. But I feel like at the end, the endless circle of violence that this show perpetuates, to me, is an argument against like
Karate?
martial arts.
Yeah, karate, exactly.
And which is like the antithesis of the
With
whole
the whole
point of the
point, yeah.
Karate Kid movie, which was like, you need this to protect those that cannot and yourself, but you don't. But man, karate in the hands of these kids
You
on
don't-
this
yeah.
West Coast, like, this is a dangerous weapon.
Yeah, I see the show, right, and then I'm rewatching, or I'm watching Curb Your Enthusiasm, and I see a lot of similarities. And you might be thinking, what? They're completely different shows, right?
Yeah.
But Curb Your Enthusiasm, obviously, it's a comedy. But one thing they do is that they in that show is that they assume everything's a misunderstanding, right? That's the tool they use for the comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's misunderstands Larry, and because he's a weird guy, right? I feel like that's the same thing that happens in Cobra Kai, except it's not a comedy show.
Uh-huh.
It takes itself a little bit more seriously than Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Uh-huh.
It uses misunderstandings and assumptions as a tool to, I guess, push the story.
Yeah.
And I'm really annoyed at that.
How good would this show be if Larry David was like
Larry, if he was
either Johnny Lawrence or Daniel LaRusso?
No, this is what you do. You recast. You never
I mean,
let
Daniel LaRusso, Larry David doing
No.
doing karate.
No.
Who
you
would tell the difference?
You never let Mr. Miyagi die, but you recast him
Yeah,
as
that's
Larry
what
David.
I was thinking too. Or no, actually, yeah, like the character doesn't die, and you just
Recast him as
recast him as Larry
Mr.
David.
And you
Miyagi's
don't
Larry
say anything.
David.
Yeah, yeah.
Daniel-san, pretty good.
Okay.
That's what I imagine.
You know, that's another sense of duality there, that the audience for the show is very clearly young, like teenage kids, but also very clearly like 30 and 40-year-old men.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because that's a generation that grew up with the show.
Mm-hmm.
With the movies.
With the films, yeah.
Yeah.
So, can it service those two populations? Because I feel like all the Karate Kid stuff is cool, but then like sometimes you have to put up with like the teenage melodrama. It's almost like a CW show.
Yeah.
In the sense where like, I'm here for the Flash and Green Arrow, but I'm gonna have to deal with all this interpersonal relationships that I'm like just so over in my development stages. What are your thoughts on that?
I agree.
I don't think I'm there yet. Like I can see why it would be frustrating, and I mean I think in some parts like I am frustrated. I can get frustrated, but frustrated in the sense of like, oh, we're doing this again, like we're kind of repeating what we've been doing in the past,
Yeah.
Right? Yes.
and I completely understand that, and I hope that they like they won't address it, but I hope that where they're going isn't like the same thing, because I feel like in the end of season 3 is
the end of season
season 4. Like we're in the same exact spot.
And also circling back to season 3. Because, okay, so let's talk about that. Season 1 and 2 is basically a sequel to The Karate Kid,
Yeah.
part 1. And I guess for all of us, it was basically just one big season because we all watched it like that. Once we got to season 3, it's basically a sequel to The Karate Kid part 2, which people don't love as much. Like, I know your brother Link is like was a big Karate Kid fan growing up, and like Karate Kid 2 is where the series jumps the shark, because it was like, he's gonna kill this person, like they're gonna kill each other, and like the village's fate
It's a death
is
match
tied to it's a
Death
death
match. Yeah,
match
exactly.
for the fate of this village in the hands
for a
of
high school kid.
yeah, this high school kid. So, thoughts? Like, season 3, it introduces Chosen.
My boy.
Who?
the
Chosen.
villain of Karate Kid Part 2. Remember that Daniel has to travel back to Japan.
the Japanese guy.
Yeah, and like train under him.
And he meets, what's her name,
Make
Noriko?
amends. Yes, the girl from
Man.
the little girl, right? From
The girl he
Karate Kid.
saves.
She
Yeah.
aged pretty well.
Yeah, it was literally her, right?
Yeah.
That's what I
Mhm.
heard.
I'm like, dang. I expected I expected her to look older for some reason.
And you know what? I do appreciate that about this show, going out of his way to go and
back,
pull
yeah.
back literally the person, because you could just recast that. No one's
Yeah.
gonna notice or I don't even think care really, because who even knows what she does, you know? But to go back and find those people and literally bring them back on the show,
And the girl that like his love interest from the second movie.
Mhm.
Coming back.
Yeah, I don't know. I really enjoyed those little pieces.
What did you think about that like teaser at the end of season 2, where it's like, oh, we're gonna bring the girlfriend that they fought over?
Who, Allie?
Yeah,
I mean, it was just another. We're bringing back another character, and how are they gonna do this?
yeah.
Um,
I remember like not really caring about the tease, because I was like, that's so high school.
Yeah, right?
Like he already has a relationship, and Daniel's
like-
married. Like, how's that gonna bring tension?
I feel like they dwell so much in the past.
Yeah.
Like the characters. I'm like, who cares? Grow up.
and I think that that's the story of the show.
Yeah, I
that
think
these
that's the
guys are
point.
stuck in the
Yeah,
past,
like there's Arrested Development there.
right? But we're just so past it. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, and I mean that's how I view it,
Mhm.
and it's, to me, it's like it's frustrating that LaRusso can't he talks a big game about growing and being the bigger man and being a bigger
Mhm.
person, but he's still such a child.
yeah,
Like, and
absolutely.
I like, in some sense, like he has like PTSD pretty much from things that have happened to him in his past, and like I think they emphasize that like every time he sees like the Cobra Kai like dojo when it comes back, and he just like gets flashbacks.
yeah,
But it's like, and I think that's the point. Was like, he frustrates me so much, but in the sense of like, this is part of the show. I don't know. I feel like that's part of the show.
It's a
For
tool
me?
they use, but it's
Yeah.
an annoying
Yeah.
tool that I
Yeah.
do not like.
I guess I'm not like,
Because I'm over it, and I'm like,
Yeah, I'm not
bro,
over it
This
yet.
guy should not be teaching karate. Just go back to selling cars.
and I think that's what it comes back to is we talk about how these kids are just
Terrible.
beating each other up all over
Right,
the valley.
right.
Does no one
And
does no one think of ever calling the cops?
And
on
these
the show?
senseis and
'Cause
these
that
senseis
escalates seriously.
Oh
in
my
season
goodness,
these
three.
like-
senseis aren't like really responsible. They're teaching these kids, and like Daniels basically gets back into Miyagi-Do.
Well, I mean, Kreese is responsible
Kreese-
because he's literally
Kreese is
like,
DM.
Kreese
go
is
fight
terrible.
them in the streets and kill them.
No, I mean like teaching kids. Oh, I guess for Kreese, yeah,
Yeah.
he's literally like, yeah, beat him up. But like for Johnny and for Daniel, I think they push on what they were taught, and there are some valuable lessons in
Mhm.
there. But at the same time, you see it sometimes where like they're literally stuck in time. Like
Yeah.
doesn't like the same rules don't apply
Yeah.
in today's age. And I think that irresponsibility is what leads these kids to just think that they can beat each other. You're putting a lot of information that it's violence basically,
Yeah.
and aggression.
I feel like they pass on their hatred towards each other
Yes.
to their
Yeah, they're just
apprentices.
perpetuating.
Yeah, they're perpetuating the
cycle.
problem,
Yeah.
the sins of their fathers, and it's so annoying because like it's so easy to just ask questions, right? And that's it. It's so easy to call the cops when a gang of kids breaks into your house and starts fighting and doing karate.
Yeah. But I think there's a theme that's emerging here is the duality of this show. And it's the fact that both the protagonist and the antagonist, at least up until this point in the show, between Johnny Lawrence and Daniel LaRusso, they're both good men, but they're like inherently flawed. And the thing is about Daniel is that like he's flawed in a way that's a lot more socially acceptable.
Yeah,
You know, he's
That's a good point.
stubborn. He has a savior complex, I
Yeah.
think.
he does.
Like you mentioned the sins of your father. I think Daniel, the fact that his dad was gone, not for any fault of his own, I believe, right? It was just,
Mhm.
he passed away, right?
I don't
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah. But he just didn't grow up with a father. So it's like he always wants to be that father figure. Even like, for example, in Robbie's life where he has a father, you know, and he kind of thinks he knows best than, you know, Robbie's own father. I think they're like more socially acceptable things. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
it's easier to hide.
Yeah, it's
to
masked.
get away
It's a bit
with.
more masked, and
Right.
I mean, Daniel's looking at it how we saw it for all those years when we watched the movie, with Daniel being the hero of the story. He's the hero of his story. Like,
Right.
I defeated the bully and I had to go through all these things, and I had a sensei, I had Mr. Miyagi, a father figure who taught me these things. But I think he's so self-righteous sometimes that
Self-righteous, that's another one, yeah.
that it blinds him to, like you said, just asking questions.
Yeah, because
and
he's
being
never
communicative.
He's never, not that he's never wrong, but he's never necessarily wrong. It's just he goes about it like he's on this crusade for like everything that he believes. Like, he has a sound rationale for all his actions, but he just cannot fathom someone having an alternative, even way of life, like, or perspective at all.
And I will say that really frustrated me, because that was season 4.
Yeah.
And I was like, bro, when is this guy gonna get it? Because I literally thought with the end of season 3, they're gonna learn. Maybe like 4 or 5 episodes in, it'll take some time.
No, but it goes back.
Exactly, because these two people, they have a lot of history, and they don't see eye to eye most of the time. They have some little bro moments throughout the show, but it always just ends up coming back to disagreement and like, you're never gonna change, when Daniel himself is not changing.
Yeah.
Oh,
And his you're right.
go ahead.
No, go ahead. Good.
Well, I was just gonna say, Kreese is the big tease at the end of season 1, right?
Yeah.
See, that was huge. Like, that sold me for season 2, and then I went right into season 2, and that's why I guess the alley tease wasn't as big. But so once they introduce Kreese, you know exactly where the show is going. It's here's the real enemy.
He is a real villain. Yeah.
He's somehow
Yeah,
Palpatine returns.
exactly. So he's Johnny's villain, and he's also, Daniel's villain. So it's like right in the last episode of season 1, you're already expecting a team up, right?
Yeah, you expect it.
Right? So then we go through season 2 and it doesn't happen. That's fine, because you're waiting for the Kreese takeover, right? Of Cobra Kai.
And that ending of season 2 was crazy, man. Where Robbie kicks Miguel off the.
Oh my goodness, I
Off the
hated that
ledge?
so much.
Oh, that's true. The paralysis, yes, because
Oh
the stakes get elevated.
And that goes to show you, like, that's caused by Johnny Lawrence and keep on
Daniel
LaRusso.
Yeah.
That's them.
Yeah, because Miguel shows mercy to Robbie and not breaking his arm,
Mm-hmm.
and Robbie ends up taking advantage of that and just kicks him off the ledge.
Yeah.
But you were saying earlier.
What was I saying?
You were saying about how we expected a team up, and
You see that at the end of season 3.
But instead, that conflict escalates between them. So we get to season 3, and the conflict continues, and the cast keeps getting more expanded, and Hawk's story continues to grow. That's another thing about Hawk, and I hate to go back to it, but the duality of it, this idea that, like, good kids and bad kids, and every time the show introduces us to a good kid, they go bad.
Yeah.
And every time they introduce us to a bad kid, they go good. And, like, Hawk has
Flip-flops?
he has so
He's
many
fickle?
babyface and heel turns.
Yeah.
And I think the show sometimes is too serious to be taken as lightly as it does. And if that isn't clear what that means, the show can be very comic booky. Like, we allow, like, high school drama, like, it's like, again, like you said, it doesn't take itself too seriously. But then, like, he breaks his friend's arm, and that was like, oh, bro, you should probably get arrested for this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You should get expelled. Hawk gets away with a lot, and his character escalates so quickly between those first couple of seasons that he's basically made, a proto-villain on the show. And all it takes to switch him back is in the fight that you mentioned, Link, in the house, where just switching sides to Miyagi-Do, now he's a good guy after everything that he's done. That's like, I don't know, especially that fight, like you mentioned, it reminds me of Power Rangers more than anything else, like just fighting in the house. But it was like everything you did is just forgiven and you move on because you chose a side in a karate fight, like an illegal karate fight in a home.
Yeah, bro, life or death situations, man.
I don't know. Sometimes the show, I don't know I don't know if it knows how to earn its characters back from where it takes them.
You know what? You're right about that. Like, he changed quickly, and I accepted it.
Because you don't take it too seriously. But if you
accepted
really
it,
evaluate it,
man, I'm happy he's here.
Because you want him to. That's why.
Yeah.
You want him to be redeemed. So you accept that, like, the journey. I mean, I'm not really sure where the journey was. Like, and you can point to things like guilt and, you know, regret and all that stuff. But yeah, that guy's been in like every dojo.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that happens a lot. In season 3, you see this conflict between LaRusso and Lawrence escalate. And this is the point where I started to get tired of it. And I started hearing this from a lot of other people. I think Link was always frustrated with it, right?
I'm constantly frustrated with the show.
Yeah, but in season 3, how did you feel about that continued conflict?
I'm like, oh my... Like I said, just ask questions. Kreese is obviously a terrible human being.
Right.
Don't associate yourself with this guy. Get him out of your life.
Yeah.
And if once you do that, your life will be so much better. Your problems will go away. And stop assuming things. I solved your whole show right there.
But
I should be your therapist.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I feel like I tend to take the side of like looking at it from a character perspective. Like this guy, obviously the guy Chris is evil.
No, period.
Well, I mean at the end, but anyways,
Mm-hmm.
he is
they add a little bit for you to sympathize, but I don't think it's enough to
nope, I
redeem
still
him.
think the guy's
he is
terrible.
kind of like he is a father figure in a way for Johnny.
Yeah,
like
but
the guy's insane.
doesn't necessarily mean he's a good father figure.
Yeah, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm gonna like I should throw you away. Like you shouldn't be a part of my life anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean it's that easy to let go of that. Like a toxic
the
relationship.
bond, yeah.
I'm not gonna. I can't just break that. It's not easy for me to break that just because.
This is the only guy who said anything good about him, and like, it's also like it's the only way Johnny knows to be loved. You know?
Yeah, he doesn't know. He doesn't know what a good father looks like.
Right. So it's the only acceptance he's ever got.
Exactly. So it's like for me, it's like I just think of it. It's not so easy for these characters to let go of their past, to let go of the people that they are, because it's been embedded in them. It's basically all they've known. So it's like for me, they have a bit more leeway. As a viewer, it can be frustrating because they just keep flip flopping. But at the same time, I realize that in my life, I flip flop all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I try to stop something negative that I do, a toxic habit that I have, or a toxic trait. And it's not easy to break that. And I find myself going back, which is something that I really like about this show, because I feel like in a sense, like, yes, it's cheesy and it's comic booky and it's campy, but I do sympathize with the characters that it's like some things aren't so easy to get rid of. Some things aren't so easy to break. And yeah, we learned like to be communicative and to empathize with others, which I feel like I've learned I feel like I've had to learn that
Mm-hmm.
to communicate how I feel or what I'm thinking, because I can have a certain point of view, but it may not be the same point of view that you have. But it comes down to like basically attitudes and preconceived notions that you have of somebody else, which I think is all that these guys have, especially like referring to Daniel and Johnny.
Yeah.
Like Johnny sees that day, like he sees LaRusso as the guy who ruined his life.
Mm-hmm.
Like
It's a downward spiral.
Exactly.
Yeah,
His like
point.
for what, 20, 30 years like later, that's a lot of stuff that like he's been through in that time, and he feels like he can track it down back all the way down to he lost his girlfriend, he lost a tournament, and then eventually, like as the show progresses, he loses his son to him.
I find all that kind of shallow.
What?
You know, your life gets worse because this guy beat you in a karate tournament and took your girlfriend.
I think we're supposed to know it's shallow, but there's also like a larger theme where you may be done with the past, but the past isn't done with you.
It comes back.
Magnolia. But you're right, but I think it's symbolic. I think it's like it represents us to learn those lessons through.
So you have to make sense, because you have to, in order for us to learn those lessons, you have to exaggerate it to the point where like, wow, this is so. I can see this. It's so much common sense.
I think that's the word. I think this show exaggerates a lot.
And also, you have to think of it from a meta perspective. That moment, that Old Valley tournament is super important to a lot of our lives, you know, from a developmental perspective. If Karate Kid was your movie, that moment typifies like success for you. Like that's the high point of your favorite movie. And it means everything. And for the people that are in that story, it means the same thing to them. You understand? So it's not necessarily like, oh, I lost my high school girlfriend, but maybe every relationship they're on is damaged by that experience. Like, I lost my father figure and my mentor, and I never had that growing up because of that one event. And I never felt worthy because I was rejected by the girl I loved and the man who raised me.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't have that back at home when we see his life with his stepfather and everything that he's gone through. It was like, I thought I had it all in this moment. And from that moment on, I never got that feeling back in any area of my life.
And that's not saying like it is because of that fight. It is because of that tournament.
It's representative.
Exactly.
Of it. Yeah.
It's a symbol, like you said, like George said.
Yeah. Like that one guy that you never forgave, and now he's back in your life, and you're asked to coexist and accept, and you can't take it. But I do agree with Link. It's a little ridiculous. Because I was frustrated in season 3, but season 3 gears up for a big superhero team up by putting them finally on the same
team,
side.
yeah.
And that's why by the end of season 3, and again, this is one of those binge shows, so those frustrations don't last very long.
At the end of season 3, it's like, okay, fine. Because all of season 3, I'm like, I hate this show so much. It's so annoying. Same thing over and over again. Assumptions after assumptions. Sins of your fathers after sins of your fathers,
The
right?
themes are tired.
Yeah. But then, and like I said, Johnny Lawrence, I mean, Kreese is a terrible human being, right?
Mhm.
I love what you mentioned. Like, it's hard to give him up if you're Johnny Lawrence because that's the only father figure you really had, right? And like you said, that's all the love he knows. That's the type of love he knows how to accept, right? And
He
that's
wishes he could quit him.
yes. And that's the type of love that he shows himself too. Like, that's why he has to do certain things in order to feel good about himself.
Mm-hmm.
What I like about the end of season 3 is that he finally realizes, I have to put an end to this relationship. This is a toxic relationship. He may be my father figure, but this is not a good father figure.
Right.
And in order for me to continue, because apparently this guy's just constantly chasing him.
Right.
Right?
Well, I mean, he also has to. I feel like he also feels a responsibility to be that for Miguel.
Yeah. In order for him to continue, I have to put an end to this relationship, right? And you see that, okay, it's season 3. We're putting an end to this relationship. You're no longer my mentor. I'm going to be against you. I'm teaming up with
So we're putting aside the conflict with the LaRusso.
So it seems like finally they're growing. They're teaming
moving
up
forward, a new direction for the show.
Phil Collins' song's playing. You get me? It's super badass, slow motion. They're all walking. LaRusso comes in, looks like a dummy, in my opinion. But then Johnny Lawrence
Really
comes
does
in
not like
to the
LaRusso.
drum part, all wearing all black. Dang. That moment right there is what sold me on season 4. That moment right there.
And then
It takes a step back.
Psych.
Yeah. It goes back to, nope, we didn't learn our lesson. We're hating each other again.
Yeah, so now we get to this season, which just recently aired. Is that still a acceptable word? Aired? It airs through your TV? I mean, it doesn't have an air date. I mean, I guess it has an air date, right? So it's streamed on Netflix, and here we are again. The conflict between LaRusso and Johnny Lawrence. It's just picked up right from the get-go. It was funny because I think I mentioned, I was talking with producer Dan about, we were so certain that they're like gonna team up to create one unified dojo. Like, we thought that had already happened. Or like,
no, yeah, we like me. I believe producer Dan's in it. His brother and my friend Alec. Like, cause we usually watch the show. Last year when season 3 came out, we watched it together. Like, we love the show. We named our group chat Miyagi Kai.
Okay.
Because like
that's what you expect.
Yeah.
Because obviously like that's what we thought they were gonna combine them and stuff like that.
Makes a lot of sense. That's
so
nice. It sounds good too.
Yeah, and like that's what we thought was gonna happen. So then once like Cobra Kai ends up like being with Kreese, we're like, okay, then I guess Miyagi Fang or something like that.
Right.
And then
I think they even used that name at the end.
Yeah. So in season 4, like we're like, oh, it's gonna come, it's gonna happen, and it doesn't come until the end.
Yeah.
But then when I think it's Dimitri, he's like Miyagi Fang. Like me and Alec looked at each other and we were like, yeah. We just started like I don't know, like
just started punching the mic.
Yeah, me, Sammy, and Alec. We just start like I don't know. We just get hyped, and I feel like that makes that experience more enjoyable for me. For people that are there like along for the ride with me, that get excited for these things too.
Yeah.
And I was able to watch it with them on the cruise, like throughout the week.
Yeah.
And and it's like there was like we got hyped from certain moments, like, and we were just watching it on my iPad in the room, and that like that adds to the experience for me and my friends. But that's the part that I was frustrated with is season 3 ends like fantastic, like season 4 I'm so ready, I'm so excited, and then we're taking a step back.
Yeah.
And I was frustrated, but at the same time it's like, you know what, I feel like they have an end projection, 6 seasons. So I was like, okay, you're gonna fit a story into this. You have
a movie.
You have a timetable. Let's hope.
Karate Kid Part 5, 6.
The Miyagi verse ends.
Into the Miyagi verse, and it's like Hilary Swank, Jaden Smith,
all those,
reanimated
everyone.
Mr. Miyagi.
No, they CGI him like
It's Larry
in
David. It's
Ghostbusters.
Larry David.
Ghostbuster spoilers. It's at home. Go ahead and watch it. Oh, and Larry David. That's right.
I did think that there was growth in season 4 because throughout the whole, and it's an annoying growth because throughout the whole season, a theme is Johnny has his way of doing things, LaRusso has his own way of doing things, and because they were raised in such a way, they feel like their way is the correct way, right? And that's the theme, and the only way. That's the theme we've seen throughout the whole show, right? Miyagi-Do is the correct way. Cobra Kai is the correct way, right? For both of these two men. And this season, it looks like it took them forever, but at least the children were breaking the patterns of hate, breaking the patterns of, and then realize, hey, you know what? It's not this. Miyagi-Do isn't the only way. Cobra Kai isn't the only way. Eagle Fang isn't the only way, and that's why I think the most rounded fighter in the series is probably Robbie, although he lost. Because he does understand both styles. Because he's able to combine them.
I would say Hawk, no?
Yeah,
Hawk's been in all of them.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the difference between
Miyagi Fang Kai?
But what's the difference between Eagle Fang and Cobra Kai? It's literally that he has the same mentality.
No. I think that Eagle Fang is that new Cobra Kai that Cobra Kai evolves into, because Johnny starts teaching Cobra Kai exactly how Kreese did in season 1, and then it morphs into he recontextualizes. It is he still wants to strike first,
strike hard. There's room for mercy.
But here's what it means now. Yeah. No, I even think it is no mercy, because it's almost like an art of war or a Machiavellian, like, do good and you win that way. You understand? Like, I'm still going to leave those letters up on the wall. I do think he eventually, once he loses Cobra Kai, completely takes a step away from it. But I do think, like, he's trying to keep the creed while redefining what it means.
I agree. But to the point where I think that to win, I think you don't want to, like, win in a unsportsmanlike way.
Because you didn't really win.
What do you mean?
Like, okay, finish your thought.
Like how they hit Daniel's leg in the tournament. How Kreese has I forget his name, the guy before him that fights him, and it's like, and that's how and I feel like that's why Miguel ends up relenting on Robbie. Like, he doesn't break his arm when he has him in that hold, because I'm pretty sure Johnny tells him, he's like, if you don't win the right way, then you don't win at all.
Yeah, that's exactly what I meant.
And so, okay, I agree.
Then you
agree
don't
with you.
win. Then you don't.
But that's
win.
a mentality, though. Doesn't mean that doesn't necessarily mean that that's a style of fighting.
Yeah,
because it's still the same style of fighting.
Because the mentality is
it's like an updated version. Of
but still the same. It's still the same style of fighting. Like this, you get me? That's why I think
aggression first.
Yeah,
okay.
That's why I'm like, Eagle Fang and Cobra Kai, they're synonymous. The style of fighting is synonymous.
I think you're right with, like, style of fighting, but I think there are values. I think there are core values that are different in some of them.
I think I disagree with you because I was told that we need to disagree more. No, I'm kidding.
And that's why I think that Robbie's the most well-rounded fighter, because he spends more time in Miyagi-Do, some good time in Miyagi-Do, and some good time in Cobra Kai.
And I feel like he loses. Like, I feel like he lost that fight because he was conflicted.
Yeah, he was conflicted. Yeah, I'm saying finally the students, the youth, they start realizing they start realizing that they're fighting someone else's war.
They're fighting someone
I'm not. Why am I being involved in this?
Right. And that's why season 4 is a story of, like, highs and lows, because it almost feels like everything the kids learn and understand, finally, there's no way they're gonna break them up, but then they do. Like, Hawk, when he picks up that sledgehammer, I'm like, not again, man. He's gonna let's hit his temper, and he breaks down the wall, and the two, dojos are working together on this project that is literally a better use of the space than LaRusso would have ever thought. And it's like, come on, at least for the kids, stay together for the kids,
But I think that it we said before, like it exaggerates that these two guys are literally just doing it. Like obviously they want to teach the kids for sure, but they're being short-sighted.
Yeah.
And
well, see, but once it gets to this point, I do have serious doubts whether they're doing it for the kids or not. It seems like they're doing it for themselves.
It seems like they're doing it
because
for themselves,
now, like 4 years in, like, come on, man, there's a limit.
No, yeah, because I feel
I doubt. I have my doubts whether these people should be handling everybody's kids.
It seems like LaRusso's the only one that's doing it for the kids.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, he's
even then,
even then he's doing it because he wants to.
He's doing
prove
it
his point.
yeah,
and it's not until the end where he realizes,
and because he thinks he knows best.
It's not until the end where he realizes, maybe my daughter can win if there's two styles. Maybe my style isn't the right way.
it just took him that long.
Took him that long, right? 4 seasons.
But I guess
I do like the redemption arc for Hawk in season 4.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think him winning was
okay. So
came out
let's
of
talk
nowhere.
about this whole season is gearing up for the All Valley, right?
Mhm.
Which is a big pressure on the season to deliver. You just hinted at the winner. What do you think? You think the All Valley delivered?
I think they landed.
I think it delivered. Yeah.
I think it did.
I
I
think
think
they
they picked the right winner,
I
like
think
you just mentioned.
I think that they like the addition of the female bracket
was cool.
and
Good.
the skills.
Yeah.
I like the skills too.
Yeah, I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
I thought it was weird because like they really didn't have any time to prepare for it, but
They all did
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah. I didn't like the season until the last 2 episodes, until the All Valley. I'm like,
because
oh.
of Carrie Underwood, right?
yeah.
Love
Once they
that.
introduced Carrie Underwood, I'm like, this show has everything I've ever wanted in a show.
What did you guys think of the Carrie Underwood? It's a weird thing to talk about, but the Carrie Underwood appearance. What was your initial reaction?
I thought it was great. I was like, "What? Okay, I'm with it." No, you didn't care.
I didn't care.
Yeah. Why?
Necessarily listen to Carrie Underwood, and
like
I thought it was random. I associate Carrie Underwood with football, not karate,
Why football?
because she's the voice of Monday Night Football or
She's
Sunday.
the voice of
Yeah,
what
yeah,
does that
like
mean?
her for Sunday Night Football on NBC.
Mm-hmm.
She's the one that's singing the song.
What is the song?
I don't know. It's
You
a
know-
Sunday Night Football song.
Okay. I was taken aback because I was like, am I supposed to understand why this is happening now? Why is he here? And it just reminded me of something that used to happen on shows when I was growing up, like on 90s family sitcoms, where it's like, here's a random famous person and they have a spot and there's no context for it at all. Like, I'm supposed to get hyped just because a famous person
Yeah,
dropped
right?
by.
I feel like they did it then just to get viewers,
Was
but
it-
here
But yeah, it
it's
makes
like,
sense
you don't really
then.
need, you don't really need that.
But like in the show, isn't there like a part where like they have those meetings and they're like one of them couldn't deliver like on a
there's-
celebrity guest or
there's
something like
redemption
that?
for that
Yeah.
guy.
And then like I feel like that was that for that like that. was
But
for
I
that.
feel like it was foreshadowing something relevant. You know what I mean? Like I thought, like for example, what you said, like if Jackie Chan shows up, then I'm like, oh, that makes
we
sense.
got 2 more seasons, guys.
If Hilary Swank shows up, maybe if it's just like Steven Seagal or Chuck Norris, you know what I mean?
Oh,
So-
that would have been so cool. With Chuck
something
Norris.
relevant. A guy in a G, Anderson Silva. You want to put a woman in there. WWE former women's champion Ronda Rousey. I don't know, anything. Something related to martial arts or fighting or a singer. I don't know. It'd just be weird. It's like here's Sting, like, and he sings like Fields of Gold. I don't see the relevancy.
But you wouldn't love that.
I guess I would have loved it. Okay,
Uh-huh.
all right. So I guess it's just I'm not the target. But okay, but is Carrie Underwood like in line with the target demo of this show? Like, let's be honest, it's kids and or like middle-aged men who are forcing their wives to watch this with them.
Yeah, they should have gotten Selena Gomez.
And that's how it works. That's how the middle-aged wives are. That's how they get 'em.
Oh, we just cracked the
Oh,
code.
Carrie Underwood.
That was the thing, because they're frustrated with the LaRusso Johnny Lawrence thing too, and nothing is gonna win them over except Carrie
Carrie, yep.
Underwood.
Okay.
Oh, you know what? We just cracked the code. I think that's almost exactly the reason why.
Hey, get us to write season 5 and 6.
But I did think season 4 progressed, but it also degressed in the sense that it seems like we're gonna get the same problem again with LaRusso's son and the little African American kid in Cobra Kai. It seems like that feud, that Cobra Kai versus Miyagi-Do feud, is going to be perpetuated with those two characters.
That was my
They did the double turn again.
Worry
on both characters.
That was my worry that, like they said 6 seasons. We have a plan, and I feel like it should end there.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like maybe that storyline gets wrapped up in 2 seasons. Hopefully it does, but I was a little worried that maybe it's like something like like they might do a continuation.
Cobra Kai, the next generation.
Yeah, and I'm just
the
like,
next Cobra Kai.
No, I'm just saying that they continue the hate with those two.
The perpetual cycle, yeah.
And I'm like, oh,
because it was like LaRusso's kid is bad. Now he's good, but now that kid he was
bad.
bullying.
Yeah, like you said, like
was good.
The good
now
kids
he's
turn bad. Yeah, it's like okay.
So now they're on the opposite sides of it. So Hawk gets a good redemption story because it's not Miguel, it's not Robbie. Hawk gets to win.
Yeah, he wins, and the beauty of it is that, you know, when Hawk becomes Hawk, he ends up becoming someone who he's not, right? And only Demetrius knows who Hawk really is,
right?
And in this season, he got to realize, all right, he's not the person who he was before. He was not that nerd. He's also not really Hawk. He's a new person. He's a combination of both of them, and he was able to realize that, like Ego Fang, exactly. So he was able to realize that this season he's a new, you know, he is who he wants to be. He doesn't have to be Hawk to prove his point. That when people's over, he is who he is, and he realized that, and that's why he was able to win.
And what did you think about the female winner?
Yeah, I was gonna ask you what you guys think
I kind of wanted her to win.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah,
I think
Sam was a little bit annoying.
Yeah, I'm tired of Sam too.
Not only
She
that,
perpetuated the cycle.
She deserves some loss. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But also, she didn't really lose.
She didn't really. Yeah, she.
Yeah.
So
let's talk about the villain though, Terry Silver.
Oh yeah, we haven't talked about that.
My favorite part of the show.
He was a high point of the season for me.
So
yeah.
good,
Oh man.
You know he's old. You know he's only like 3 months old.
Older than
Macho,
LaRusso.
no, is he? Yeah,
Ralph Macchio. Yeah.
Ralph Macchio.
Yeah,
and he was his like 20-year-old, 30. I thought he was his 30-year-old.
He's supposed
sensei.
to be a contemporary.
Like I can still move though. Like he can still.
Bro,
like, he was doing.
He
the
looked
moves.
good for his age.
He looks better than LaRusso.
Yeah.
I like,
and he actually looks cool when he does karate.
I like the like classical music in the
yes.
background,
Yes,
like the ominous. Oh my!
No, the fact that he is like a maestro.
Yes.
Oh man, I love that.
He
Like
was
the
the best
long
part.
hair. Oh man.
And
the
you know
white
what?
long hair.
And it was a hard sell for me because I was like, Karate Kid 3 stuff? I don't want to see this. Who cares? And it was like they double dipped on Karate Kid 3. I already, like, my eyebrows were raised when they were like, I was in Cobra Kai and this, you know? But now a whole season centered around like the Karate Kid 3 antagonist? Nah, man, they pulled it off.
And I'm excited what they do with him in season 4.
The new direction.
Yeah, because I was, like I said,
I was getting tired of Kreese.
I was getting tired of Kreese. I'm annoyed of the show, right?
But that line with Kreese though.
The same thing that happened in season 3 happened to me again in season 4. I was so tired of season 3. I'm like, I hate the show. Oh, it's so stupid. Bam! Last episode, last 30 seconds of the show, you sold me with that team up, right? Season 4 again. Oh, this show's so dumb. You sold me again with those last 40 seconds with Terry Silver becoming the big new bad. The new big bad. And I was like, dang it! Now, is there now going to be redemption for John Kreese?
Out of prison in the first episode.
Probably.
And he takes over Cobra Kai by halfway through the season. Nah, I'm just kidding. I mean, I really hope not. Yeah, an entire season redemption arc for John Kreese. That's a bold move. That's got to be a hard sell.
I mean,
but so was Terry Silver. Yeah,
so good.
Yeah, and then what do you think? So now we have the future where we have Terry Silver as the big bad. We have Chosen returns as an ally for LaRusso.
Yeah. Chosen.
They cheated to win the All Valley, so supposedly he has to, Miyagi-Do has to, disband. He's like straight up just says in the finale, I'm gonna,
I'm not doing that.
Yeah, I'm gonna quelch on our bet.
I'm not leaving.
But they have a rational reason why not to once it comes out that, that Cobra Kai cheated.
Yeah.
Where do we go from here?
Chosen kill someone with the Miyagi kata. But I think I don't know. I'm interested to see. I'm assuming Miguel's not going to be in next season, right?
Why?
I think he's probably going to be like the B story. him and his father, and then Johnny looking for him.
Oh,
He
'cause
just
he
won't
took
be in
off?
as much. Is
Yeah.
that because he's
No, I don't think
a
so.
big
dude.
star now?
I don't
I don't
think
even
so,
think.
man. Also, is he like a senior? When is he graduating high school at this point?
Probably next year.
I think that's gonna be like
I think he
part
has
of the
one-
maybe half of the season. Him finding his father, and
I
then
think
they
he
come
has
back.
one more All Valley. I think he has one left.
Okay. I think
And like I said, they don't have to do
I
All
hope so,
Valley.
man. Miguel's one of my favorite parts.
They don't have to
Yeah.
do All Valley this season. They
Yeah,
could,
okay.
like. Also, yeah, I agree with you. Miguel's one of my favorite parts.
yeah,
But even then, he took a step back this season. The
because
student,
the show became about
it became about
Johnny
Johnny
and-
Land, and
and
which I thought was
Larissa.
kind of annoying.
Sometimes
Yeah.
there's too much Daniel.
yeah.
Oh,
There is
too
too much Daniel. I appreciate that you were the star of the Karate Kid, and that you're like a producer on the show.
This is
But
your show.
yeah, it's not your show, man. It's called Cobra Kai. All right, it's not called Miyagi though. Okay, and I think some of these gripes that we've come to bring us to the point of this week's episode. Why we decided to talk about this, and we've titled this week's episode "Cobra Kai Must Die."
But not for me.
And I think, Link, what do you think? Why must Cobra Kai die?
It either learns its lesson or it doesn't.
So it either lives or it either dies. A hero lives long enough to
Does
see itself become the villain.
Yeah. So, but once you choose whichever path it's gonna take, then all right, die. You do want to continue. What are you gonna do? Keep on doing? Just hating each other?
Mhm.
Keep introducing new characters that teaching them that hate they have for each other, and then perpetuating the cycle. Come on, it's boring.
I think when I think about the phrase Cobra Kai must die, I don't think that the show needs to end. I don't want it to get canceled. I don't want it to be done. I enjoyed this
no.
season, to be honest with you.
I liked it. Yeah.
Oh, Link likes it? Because
The end, like those last 40
okay,
seconds.
so it's
dang
just,
it.
he gets...
I know. I really enjoyed. The
It's
All
a
Valley
roller coaster
part,
ride
yeah.
every season?
It is,
For
really
you?
is.
Okay. So I agree. Like, I have gripes. I have serious issues, and I think my patience for it is wearing thin, but I still want to see it keep going. I just want to see it move forward. So I think you mentioned, Gabe, that there is a finite time, like a lifespan in place for it. I can see it, but I don't want the next 2 seasons to be like what we've experienced for 4 seasons now. So I think there needs to be a finite end, and I think there needs to be a goal in place, and I think that needs to be where they keep their focus on. For all intents and purposes, keep their eyes on the prize. Because I see a lot of new characters and young kids being introduced, and I ain't in the long haul for this. I'm not going to ride this out till season 10, and I'm not going to see like some next Karate Kid.
Mhm.
So that's how I feel. Cobra Kai must die, as we must all. All right? It doesn't have to be right now, but I think you got to prepare for the end. What are your thoughts, Gabe? You say no.
Yeah, I know. I agree that everything has its time and
Mhm.
place.
Mm-hmm.
I think it should be a natural progression. And I keep jumping back to this whole 6-season thing. They had a plan for 6 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
And so hearing that early on, I was on board, and I'm like, you know what? Okay, if you have a story in mind, if you have a plan to go that long, and you've thought out the story, then I'm going to give you your 6 seasons. I'm not really going to and if cuz everything I've seen so far, I'm good with it. I'm
Mhm.
enjoying the show. 4 seasons in. Yeah, I have frustrations, yeah, I have gripes, but I'm not at that level where it's like, all right, start you better start wrapping this up. We have 2 seasons left,
Mm-hmm.
but I agree. If we don't move forward, if we don't progress, then we're going to stay in the same spot, and it's like, then I don't agree with that. If you think you're going to get 10 seasons or 8 seasons or something like that, then I'm going to be like, okay, maybe it is time to start packing it up. But as for right now, I really enjoyed season 4. I'm excited to see where season 5 goes, and hopefully season 6 will be the conclusion. But aside from that, I feel like there are great lessons that I've learned from the show, like I did from the movie when I was a kid. And yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic and hopeful for the future.
I think sometimes it's hard to figure out where stories are going to end up. And many times, in order to understand our future, we have to look back at the past. But when looking back at the past, we need to remember that our goal is to learn from those lessons and not get stuck in it. If we dwell too much on what's come before us, we hold ourselves in almost a self-imposed prison that we can't move out of. The door is open for us to walk through. And without the experiences that got us here, we wouldn't understand what steps to take forward. But we can also be tied to those chains that have bonded us. So it should be our goal to break those cycles, those patterns of behavior, or those events that we've gone through in the past that is so easy to fall back into and to be defined by. But we must have a clear path, a goal ahead, and we must remember that moving forward is the action that we should be taking. We should be propelled onward into a future that looks brighter than the times that have passed. Never forgetting our history, but honoring it with the new challenges and decisions and choices that we make every day to grow and be better than we were yesterday. And that's the challenge that I invite each of you to take with us as we continue to move week to week and month to month as we keep searching for that meaning. And until next time, stay on that search.